Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Chana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Chana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madhava Radha Nila Madhava Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Their Lordships, Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachanine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pastaja Deshatanine. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 86. Chapter 86. Arjuna kidnaps Subhadra. And we're going to do a few verses here. 13 through 15. 13, 14, and 15. And we'll chant together verse number 15. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll chant the Sanskrit for text number 15. Please repeat. Yatra matram tvahar ahar. Yatra matram tvahar ahar. Daivad upanamatyuta. Daivad upanamatyuta. Nadikam tavata tushtam. Nadikam tavata tushtam. Kriya chakre yatochitaham. Kriya chakre yatochitaham. Yatra matram tvaharahar. Daivad upanamatyuta. Nadikam tavata tushta. Kriya chakre yatochita. Please chant. Anybody else? Word for word, synonyms, please repeat. Yatra matram, bear maintenance. 2, and. Aha, aha, day after day. Daivat, due to his fate. Upanamati, came to him. Uta, indeed. Naadikam, no more. Tavata, with that much. Tushtaha, satisfied. Kriyaha, duties. Chakre, he did. Yata, as. Uchitaha, appropriate. So I'll back up to text 13 and read the translations for 13 through 15. Shukadev Goswami continued, there was a devotee of Krishna's known as Shukadev, who was a first-class brahmana, perfectly satisfied by rendering unalloyed devotional service to Lord Krishna. He was peaceful, learned, and free from sense gratification. Living as a religious householder in the city of Mithila, within the kingdom of Videha, he managed to fulfill his obligations while maintaining himself with whatever sustenance easily came his way. Text 15. By the will of providence, he obtained each day just what he needed for his maintenance, and no more. Satisfied with this much, he properly executed his religious duties. Purport: an ideal Vaishnava Brahmana, even if encumbered by the ties of family life, should work only as hard as required to meet his obligations. Without being unnecessarily agitated for material advancement, he should devote the best part of his time and assets to his higher duties in the Supreme Lord's service. If a householder can succeed in this program, despite the unavoidable difficulties of this degraded age, he can expect Lord Krishna's personal attention, as will be seen in the case of Shukadev, the perfect Brahmana of Mithila. End of purport. A few points to highlight here. In text 13, we hear that Shukadev exhibited 3 very attractive, sought-after qualities. One is that he was peaceful. Everybody's looking for peace. But they don't know what real peace is. So one time, Prabhupada was speaking, and the point was made that, well, the Buddhists are peaceful. They just do this impersonal meditation of sorts, meditate on the void, I guess. They're peaceful. And Prabhupada said, what's so great about that? Even the stone is peaceful. So that's not the kind of peacefulness that's being referred to here. Like a dead stone type of peaceful. So Shukadev was peaceful, and he was learned, which doesn't simply mean book knowledge, but because he's a perfect Brahmana. What is a Brahmana? Brahmana, by definition, is one who understands Brahman, spirit, the distinction between matter and spirit, and the difference between the, individual jiva and the para-Brahman. So he was learned beyond just book knowledge. And thirdly, he was free from sense gratification. So these are three very attractive qualities that we may be severely lacking in our life, but we should use, we can have like a little barometer to measure our advancement in Vaishnava qualities, and these three qualities are very important. That one is peaceful, learned, and free from sense gratification. How did Shukadev come to have these beautiful qualities? It says here that he was perfectly satisfied. How? By rendering unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Peacefulness comes from satisfaction. If one is not satisfied, how can you say they're peaceful? Therefore, Prabhupada mentioned that only the devotee is actually peaceful, because everybody else, whether one's a karmi or a jnani or a yogi or a tyagi, everyone's looking for some object or destination to fulfill their desire. The karmi's looking for some sense gratification. The jnani's looking for some knowledge, for some impersonal realization. The yogi is looking for some mystic opulences, the yogic siddhis. The tyagi is looking for, just to be relieved from all attachments and entanglements. But only the devotee is actually satisfied. So only the devotee is actually peaceful. And where does this satisfaction come from? Why is the devotee satisfied? Satisfaction is what causes the devotee to be peaceful. They're learned, meaning they're satisfied with what they know. They're not out there looking for more knowledge. They're completely satisfied with the transcendental knowledge that comes of its own accord, the realization. And they're not pursuing sense gratification. Sense gratification is for people who are looking for something. And so we're looking externally to import happiness, because the happiness is not within. At least, they haven't discovered the happiness within. So how did Shukadev get his satisfaction? It says here, by rendering unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. So in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first chapter is simply the sages of Naimisharanya becoming very inquisitive and asking questions. They're about to perform a 1,000-year sacrifice, or they're in the midst of a 1,000-year sacrifice, and they realize that we don't really know what the best thing is for us to do. We want to do a 1,000-year sacrifice. Why? To benefit the people of Kali Yuga, because they could see into the future. Kali Yuga was just about to begin. Lord Krishna has just departed from the planet. And when Krishna departs from the planet, that's the first day that Kali Yuga begins its time. So these sages at Naimisharanya are in a lot of anxiety, seeing that people in Kali Yuga are going to be short-lived, they're going to be quarrelsome, they're going to be unlucky, and above and beyond all that, they're going to be always disturbed. They're not going to be satisfied. So they want to do a 1,000-year sacrifice to bring about auspiciousness to the folks in Kali Yuga. But they realize they don't actually know what the best yajna is to do. So there's some argument there. Which yajna should we do? So by the Lord's arrangement, Sutta Goswami appears on the scene there in Naimisharanya, just by chance. He's walking through the forest and he comes upon this great assembly of sages. They immediately recognize the self-effulgent Sutta Goswami. Why was Sutta Goswami so effulgent? What just happened to Sutta Goswami, Bhakta Patrick? Yeah, he just exited the scene where Shukadeva Goswami was for 7 days speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, and Sutta was so blessed to be part of that audience. And he left there totally ecstatic and effulgent, and as he was cruising through the forest of Naimisharanya, he met these sages, and they recognize him as self-effulgent, and they start asking questions to him. And he begins in the second chapter of that first canto, and the first thing he says is that Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhoksaje Ahoitikiya Pratihataya Yatma Supersediti. The best form of religion, and therefore the best form of sacrifice, is unalloyed devotional service to the personality of Godhead. And there's a caveat here that such devotional service must be unalloyed, not mixed with anything, and uninterrupted. It goes on 24/7. If we can do that, Sutta Goswami tells the sages, if we can practice and propagate such pure devotional service that has no motivation and no interruption, yatma supersediti, it will result in perfect satisfaction of the self. We're all looking for satisfaction, and they're writing songs about how they can't get no satisfaction. Well, here's the secret. Sutta Goswami reveals it at the get-go. Practically, there's no reason to even go any further. If we just understand that one verse, all we need to do is engage in pure devotional service. So Shukadeva is a practitioner of such pure devotional service. Now the Srimad Bhagavatam, through so many, many cantos leading up to the 10th canto, is showing the life of many different types of transcendentalists. And as we read through the 9 cantos, what we're going to notice is that there are many examples and instances of transcendentalists who did not perform the most perfect, pure form of devotional service. And therefore we find examples of Mishra Bhakti, whether it's mixed with karma, karma Mishra Bhakti, or it's mixed with jnana, jnana Mishra Bhakti, or it's mixed with Ashtanga Yoga, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, etc. And these examples of devotees throughout the Bhagavatam, we're just being built. We're being built up gradually, 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 to finally come to the 10th canto, where we're going to hear the beautiful pastimes of not just Krishna, but obviously of his unalloyed devotees. It's in the 10th canto where the glorification of Bhakti Devi, or pure devotional service, is going to be, she's going to be completely glorified. So the 10th canto is glorification of pure bhakti and the pure devotees. So Rupa Goswami, he also gives a definition of pure devotional service, which is in line with what Sutta Goswami just said, which we just quoted, Sutta Goswami said, pure devotional service is characterized by the fact that it has these two qualities, that it is ahoitiki, without any motivation, it's not mixed with anything, and a pratihata, it can't be stopped, it can't be interrupted. You can't say, oh, something, I was doing pure devotional service, but then something got in my way. Something hindered it, or somebody hindered it. No, pure devotional service can't be stopped. So Rupa Goswami augments that with his definition of pure devotional service found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadyanavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uchyate. Rupa Goswami says, you want to know what pure devotional service is? Here's what it is, or here's how you recognize it. It's completely free of all contamination of any kind of karma or jnana or yoga or anything else. It's performed simply for the satisfaction of Krishna. There's no other motive to satisfy somebody else or myself. It's only to satisfy Krishna. And it's done favorably, in a favorable mood that pleases Krishna. Such devotional service, Rupa Goswami says, is pure devotional service. So, Rupa Goswami, again, in his Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, we were quoting a couple days ago, he advises us that if you want to be a practitioner of pure devotional service, there's a number of items that we suggest that you avoid so that your devotional service can be pure. Your devotional service does not become dragged down by these anchors of material life. And we mentioned there that the other day that the first two items that Rupa Goswami mentions that we must avoid are atyahara and prayasa. So we see in the life of Shrutadev, he's being glorified here as a perfect example of somebody who had no practice of atyahara or prayasa in his life. Therefore, he was completely satisfied, peaceful, learned, and free from sense gratification. So one might say, well, he's a householder. He's certainly engaging his senses in material activities. Is he not? But here it's explained that Shrutadev did not engage his senses unnecessarily in contacting the objects of the senses. Even when it came to his livelihood and maintaining his family, which of course is his responsibility as a householder, he did not go above or beyond what he absolutely required. Therefore, he didn't engage in what's called over-endeavor. So this word atyahar, usually we hear that it means overeating, over-collecting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, actually, this word means, atyahar means not to engage the senses in the mood of enjoyment. He says if any of the senses, not just the tongue, but if any of the senses are engaged with the mood of wanting to enjoy, that is atyahar. Means one has utilized the senses qualitatively or quantitatively more than they should. That the senses are only meant for serving Krishna to bring satisfaction to the senses of Rishikesh. We use our senses and mind, intelligence, and all of the resources only to bring happiness and pleasure to the senses of Rishikesh, the owner of the senses. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also instructing Arjuna that you cannot be a yogi. You cannot be a yogi if you are eating too much or eating too little, sleeping too much or sleeping too little. That the body, he explains at the beginning of the 3rd chapter, that this body must engage in work. Just to maintain the body requires work. You can't just sit here like a rock and expect the body to be maintained. So the fact that we have a body, we have this instrument, we have this vehicle for being used in Krishna's service, the body requires work to be done to maintain it in proper functioning order. But many people think, oh, transcendental life means stop the senses, don't utilize the senses. But right there at the beginning of chapter 3, Krishna criticizes that idea. He says, no, if you think that I will just kill the senses, put all the senses in a straitjacket, right, so they can't be used. Krishna tells Arjuna, if you do that, then you're just a cheater. You're just a pretender. Because while you have all your senses in straitjackets, your mind is going all over the place, meditating on the objects of the senses. So you're just a pretender. Don't do that. Don't become a victim of that philosophy. Rather, utilize the senses in the service of Rishikesh. So, Shrutadev is an example of a devotee who did not use his senses unnecessarily. And he didn't, even as a householder, he didn't undergo what's called prayasa, or endeavor separate from endeavors to please Krishna. Now, one might think that we need to make so many endeavors in this world, living in the material world. We need to make so many endeavors. But those endeavors should only be exactly what is required for bringing just exactly what we need for our maintenance. Even in spiritual life, we don't need to make endeavors for anything other than pure devotion. For example, knowledge. Everybody understands that in order to engage in pure devotional service, we need knowledge. Because if you don't understand the philosophy properly, we're not going to understand who Krishna is properly without sambandha jnana. Sambandha jnana means proper understanding or knowledge of what is God, what is the soul, what is the material world, and what is the relationship between them all, how to engage in Krishna's service. So sambandha jnana means that foundational knowledge, and then abhideya jnana, how to engage in the Lord's service properly, and then the prayojana jnana, what is the fruit or result of such pure devotion. So Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita tells Arjuna, don't waste your time in separate endeavors for jnana. Klesho dikataras tesham, avyakta sakta chetasam, avyakta hi gatir dukam, dehavad bhiravapyate. Those who do make separate endeavors for jnana or knowledge of matter and spirit, they have a very difficult time. It becomes very troublesome and simply leads to dukkha. It's a miserable path to follow. So it's actually a waste of time. Don't go there. Rather, at the beginning of that section of verses, Krishna says that one who engages in my direct, pure devotional service, he's the best of all transcendentalists, not the one who's pursuing impersonal jnana, realization. As far as what we need materially, what our senses need, also there in the second canto of Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami says, Dharma shvanushtita pumsa vishvakshena katasuya natpadayad yadi ratim shama eva hi kevalam. It's a total waste of time to pursue material gain through your occupation. If that occupation is not awakening attraction to hear the messages of Godhead. If you're just engaged in secular work that's not directed towards awakening attraction to the message of Godhead, then that work could be a big job with big salary and what have you. That, or it could be a very simple job. That work is a total waste of time. Same thing with renunciation. Rupa Goswami again, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says that if somebody makes endeavors to renounce the objects and what have you in this material world, they're totally wasting their time. To pursue vairagya or detachment, Rupa Goswami says, is a total waste of time. You are simply guilty of what's called falgu vairagya, artificial renunciation. Because if you spend your effort in renouncing things, but you haven't seen how they're actually connected to Krishna, then that renunciation is a total waste of time. It's not even good for you. So rather, he says, one should learn to see how everything and anything is related to Krishna. And when we can see how things are related to Krishna, then we can utilize those things in Krishna's service. We can allow our senses to contact those sense objects all day long as we're properly seeing their connection with Krishna. What does that mean, to properly see the connection with Krishna? Oh yeah, I'm just eating, 10 pieces of burfi, but I'm seeing the connection to Krishna. No, if you see the connection to Krishna, then you're using it in Krishna's service. You're not using it for your sense gratification. That's what it actually means to see things in relation to Krishna. So Rupa Goswami says that if you can do that, and that's a big if you can do that, see things in relation to Krishna and therefore only contact those objects for the sake of using them in Krishna's service, then you are above all possessiveness. You are not guilty of attachment. Jai Shishi Radha Nilamadhav. You're not guilty of attachment, and that is called yukta vairagya, or correct, proper utilization of things in the service of Krishna with a mood of personal detachment. So going back to the second chapter of the first canto, Sutta Goswami also said that. Actually, that second chapter of the first canto is like an extremely important chapter with like many, many verses that ought to be memorized and meditated on, because everything's there, right there in a nutshell. So, Sutta Goswami says there that Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayat Yashu Vairagyam Gyanam Cha Yada Hoitukam. That all you have to do is engage in pure devotional service to Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead. And what are you going to find as a concomitant result? That causelessly there's going to be knowledge and detachment from the world. One doesn't have to pursue jnana or vairagya separately. They follow as like maidservants behind bhakti. So this is the example that Shrutadev is being highlighted here. The whole purpose of the 10th canto is simply to glorify the devotees of the Lord. The Vedic scriptures, the purpose of the Vedic scriptures is to glorify the Lord. But the purpose of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is to glorify the devotees of the Lord. We all serve a person who's higher than us. And in that course of that service, there's glorification, there's appreciation, there's gratitude, there's submission. We can't say that we're actually following an authority, a superior personality, if we're not somehow with our body, our words, or our mind offering heartfelt gratitude or appreciation or glorification of that person. So A is serving B, and B is serving C, and C is serving D, and as we go all the way up to the ladder, it culminates in Krishna. However, actually the ladder doesn't culminate there. Krishna himself has somebody that he's glorifying and appreciating, and that is Srimati Radharani, Bhakti Devi. So as the whole world is wanting to glorify, serve, appreciate Krishna, he in turn has no purpose except to glorify Radharani, Srimati Radharani, the embodiment of pure devotion, and wherever that pure devotion manifests. So Krishna's only objective is to glorify pure bhakti and the practitioners of pure bhakti, in other words, the pure devotees. And that's actually why Krishna came here. When it was time for his appearance in this world, Krishna said, for a long time, I have not awarded pure devotional service to the residents of earth. So I will go to earth, and I won't just like preach devotional service. That's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my whole entourage with me. I am going to go to earth and put on the greatest show that anyone's ever seen. The greatest show on earth. So he brought his Goloka residents, his entourage. And he said, when people witness the incredible, spontaneous, pure love that these Vrajavasis have for me, their minds will become so overwhelmed and so attracted, they will want to join the roadshow. The whole world currently is worshiping me in a mood of awe and veneration. But that kind of love doesn't actually capture my heart. It's nice, but it doesn't melt my heart. It's not going to cause me to come to earth. But that love that the Vrajavasis have, that totally captures my heart. I worship that love. So I'm going to go to earth and I'm going to I'm going to show off my Vrajavasis and their pure devotion. When the world sees how Mother Yashoda chastises me with her little stick and chases me, calling me a naughty boy. When they see how my Sakas, the cowherd boys, wrestle with me. They arm wrestle with me, they jump on my back. And they say, come on, let's arm wrestle. We'll see who the big man is here. When they see those sweet dealings where the cowherd boys actually consider themselves better than me. And when they see how the gopis have me wrapped around their little finger like a henpecked paramour. When they see how these Vrajavasis have totally subdued me by capturing my heart with their spontaneous, pure devotion, then the residents of earth will become attracted to my pure devotional service. So that is the 10th canto. Actually is a glorification of the Vrajavasis to give us a little picture about what we need to do, where we need to be, what level we need to come to actually capture Krishna's attention. So Shukadev, he's not part of the Vraj Leela, he's part of the Dwarka Leela. While he's in Mithila, it says, the Mithila, the province there. And here he's being glorified because as an ideal Vaishnava Brahmana, even though he was encumbered by family responsibilities, he was completely free from the natural propensity to engage in atyahar, or unnecessary engagement of the senses, separate from the interest of Krishna, and prayasa, endeavors separate from the endeavor for pure devotional service. So, as householders, which 99% of our movement is comprised of these days, Shukadev is a very excellent example for us to follow. And due to his excellent character, we will read further on in this chapter how he had the direct darshan of Krishna and how he pleased Krishna so wonderfully. So we'll stop there and see if there's any discussion. Anybody?
What was really amazing is that Lord Krishna traveled a long way just to see this great devotee, Shukadev, and another devotee, Balavashra. So somehow we're told, don't try to see Krishna, but try to get Krishna to want to see you, and somehow just by doing his service, to worshiping his deities and being satisfied, with simple devotional service, he attracted Krishna.
Yes, thank you. That's an excellent point. Prabhupada used to quote his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as saying, don't make endeavors to try to see Krishna. Rather, act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. So the 10th canto is just filled with examples of Krishna, on his own 2 feet, going, sometimes in a chariot or whatever, going to see the devotees. They've captured his heart. He can't live without them, so, Krishna only goes where bhakti is. So if we want Krishna to appear in our lives, many times we pray, oh Lord, why have you forsaken me? I'm here suffering in the material world. We may find ourselves very lonely, but who's forsaken who? So we tend to say to Krishna, why have you forsaken me? But in fact, he hasn't forsaken us. We must be guilty of forsaking pure bhakti, because Krishna only goes, and he always is, where pure bhakti is. So if we're finding some lacking in our life as far as perceiving the presence of Krishna, then we just have to understand that we have to step up our practice of pure devotional service. That's why it's so important to meditate on these verses of what is the definition of pure devotional service. Rupa Goswami's verse on Yabhilashita Shunyam, Sutta Goswami's verse that it's a Haitakiya Pratihata, and then take an inventory. Am I doing that? Am I performing devotional service which is completely free from all tinge of material desire, karma, jnana, etc.? Is it uninterrupted? Is it unmotivated? When we can come to that platform, then Krishna will come and see us. And actually, that is what smarana is. We say Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. So Smaranam doesn't actually refer to the mechanical process of remembrance. That's a beginning level of Smaranam. Like, hey, what color? Look at the curtains closed, right? Okay, how many people can remember what color dress the deities are wearing today? Well, of course, it's like multicolored, so probably any color answer you give, you'll be right. But you know what I'm saying. What color dress were the deities wearing today? What was the prominent color of the flowers and the garlands today? What's the color of the backdrop? How many peacock feathers were in Nilamadava's turban today? Was he wearing a turban or a crown? That's called recollection. So those are the beginning stages of smarana, where we churn our brain to remember the picture that we hopefully took a mental photograph of at deity darshan time. But real smarana is Krishna appears in your mind. That's samadhi, when Krishna appears in the mind. So the pure devotee, when they say Krishna, see, now when we say Krishna, okay, that's a sound just like, anything. But when a pure devotee says Krishna, they're actually experiencing. They can smell Krishna. They can hear Krishna. They can see Krishna. They can taste Krishna. They can feel Krishna by saying Krishna. Because within the Nam is Rupa, Guna, Leela, etc. So that doesn't happen when we chant Hare Krishna, evidenced by the fact that we can't stay awake while we're doing so. But when a pure devotee chants, one who's chanting Shuddhanam, with full realization. When they say, Hare Krishna, it's all there. Krishna is there, because he is his holy name. So yeah, that's real smarnam, that the Lord appears to us, not that we mechanically put the Lord in our mind. Like, okay, I'm going to stop picturing my children or my boss at work. I'm going to put Krishna there. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, there. Krishna's there. So act in such a way, chant in such a way that Krishna wants to see us. Okay, anything else? Dr. Patrick?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for that nice class. We were speaking a little bit about the jnana and bhakti, and at times I see in my own deeper desires, there's a desire to perceive his all-pervasiveness, and understand that see that his the absolute reality is within everything around us. And I don't seek knowledge so much for it or endeavor separately other than the devotional service, but I see that desire coming up because I feel as though if I were to see that, it would be easier to preach to people with stronger conviction, and there would be no faltering in what I'm speaking.
Very good, Dr. Patrick. You are in very good company, because Arjuna himself had the same desire. He said, Krishna, I want to see how you pervade this whole universe. That just seems really awesome. How do you do that? I want to see that. That is not considered a desire separate from pure devotional service. Why did Arjuna want to see that? Well, Prabhupada explains in the 10th chapter, I think it's like the 3rd verse. Anyway, Prabhupada says in one of those purports there at the beginning of the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that everybody knows that God is great, but they do not know how God is great. So Arjuna, for our benefit, said, Krishna, I want to see how you are so great. How do you permeate this whole world? And Krishna said, oh, you want to know that? Okay, no problem. I can't really show you everything because that would take forever. But here, I'll give you a teeny tiny sight, teeny tiny perception. And so then he proceeded to explain how he pervades this entire universe. Jai Shishi Radha Nila Madhav. How he pervades this entire universe. How he's the taste in water. He's the light of the sun and the moon. He's the ability in man. And then he goes through, chapter 10, the opulences of the Supreme. Right? So a devotee wants to know all these things just because it's a glorification of Krishna. It's not in a separate category of understanding Bhagavan. Like the impersonalists, they might want to know all those things too, for the purpose of negating that there's Bhagavan. But a devotee wants to know all these things for the sake of glorifying Bhagavan. And that brings up one quick point I wanted to make, is that when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, it's not for the sake of knowledge. So, because you might be thinking, oh, I'm kind of addicted to reading. I just want to read. Am I a jnani? No. We read Srila Prabhupada's books for 2 purposes. One is to associate with Srila Prabhupada. So how are you going to associate with Srila Prabhupada? So you associate with Srila Prabhupada by hearing his devotional ecstasies brought out in his purports. And secondly, we want to read Srila Prabhupada's books so that we can preach in the line of how Srila Prabhupada preaches. So that's why we want knowledge. It's not atyahar. Actually, Srila Sridhar Maharaj says in his commentary on that verse of the Upadeshamrita that atyahar also refers to over-collecting knowledge. So we're not guilty of over-collecting knowledge. We just want to associate with Prabhupada and learn how to preach. So yes, that's a good desire. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, we'll stop there. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.